Happy patch 7.1! We finally learned that the expansion is going to be Journey to Ungoro, coming to you early April. So Ungoro Crater was a zone in World of Warcraft, which featured a untouched area of the world. So therefore there's a lot of mysteries under the thick jungle mists. Prominent feature of Ungoro is the Volcano in the middle. Wapow! 5 mana shaman card, deal 15 damage, randomly split among all minions. Overload 2. So Volcano is going to fit the control archetype. Control because it does hit your own minions, so you want to play this when you have few minions. Will it be better than Elemental Destruction? Well, Elemental Destruction is rotating out, so the comparison won't have to be made. One thing to keep in mind is that it's very flexible damage. Next up, Pyros. Pyros is a obvious control card, as it is slow going, but it's kind of cool in its flexibility. First you get a 2 mana 2/2, it dies, you get a 6 mana 6/6, it dies, it gets the 10 mana 10/10. It's less bad than some control cards because you can play the 2 mana 2/2. In fact, it's significantly better than some control cards against aggro. It is tough to play the 10 mana 10/10, but it is great in control matchups. Whether or not the meta will slow down remains to be seen, and that's going to depend a lot based off of other cards released in this expansion. Kripparrian has some wise words to say about the control meta here.
I've bet on the control meta so many times now, and I've lost that bet every time.
One really cool thing about Pyros, you will, over the course of the game, assuming it goes long enough, get the chance to play 3 10 mana 10/10s with just 1 Pyros and 1 N'Zoth. That is value 10 right there. And I look forward to a meta that can support such value plays. Also, Pyros has the Elemental tag, and that fits into the theme and a new tribe from Ungoro, since there's nothing more primal than the elements themselves, and Ungoro is a locale full of primal energies. So along with the elemental tribe, of which there will be many in Ungoro, I'm sure, a lot of traditional elemental cards are going to get that elemental tag. Vernon Longneck is a card that showcases a new ability in this expansion. Adapt allows a minion to become infused with elemental power. Similar to Discover, you're going to select one of 3 choices, and those 3 choices are going to come from a pool of 10. The adaptations that stand out as generally best, and it's going to depend based on card, but real quick, it appears to be +1/+1, Divine Shield, Death Rattle summon 2 1/1s. Those appear to be the 3 generally good ones, along with +3 health. And then the other ones are going to come into effect every once in a while as well. You'll have to adapt to your situation as appropriate, so to say. These effects are all roughly worth about 1 mana worth of stuff, like slightly less, so I think it's cool to have this kind of choice RNG, which isn't that impactful, and the impact it has is not like a huge surprise. They're all mostly stuff to buff a minion slightly. So talking about Vernon Longneck, this 5 mana 5/4 beast is not going to be a good card, because it is not pricing the adaptation to be a competitive card. It's a good basic way to introduce the concept. The card itself is not very powerful in competitive play though. Gentle Megasaur. So I actually see this card as a decent amount of potential. I think the Finja package is going to pick up a lot of popularity because we're losing 3 expansions, 2 expansions in Web Adventure when Standard rotates in with Ungoro. That means there's going to be fewer cards, but the entire 5-card Murloc package is still there. So why not add in Gentle Megasaur to boost those Murlocs? And finally, Awaken the Maker is a very flashy new card and new type of card. This is called a quest, and every single class is going to get a quest. And the concept of the quest is it's going to be a task that you can play early. It'll always be available to you in your opening hand. You can choose to mulligan it away, and there will be times when it's right to, if you're up against an aggressive deck, for example. Awaken the Makers is the first quest revealed, and let's hope that all of them have such a flashy effect. It's a priest card. The quest is to summon 7 Death Rattle minions, and as a reward, The reward meaning that you will get the card into your hand. You'll get Omara, Warden of Hope. That card is obviously insane. 5 mana, 8/8 taunt, battle cry, set your hero's health to 40, Reno cry your heart out. Now the viability of Awaken the Makers is obviously going to depend quite a bit on what kind of Death Rattle minions, the quality of Death Rattle minions is going to be. Notably, Museum Creator is rotating out of Standard since it's in League of Explorers, and Sylvanas is getting rotated into the Hall of Fame. So that's going to be a few cards that aren't going to be available anymore. However, Shifting Shade is still around. Mistress of Mixtures is a really good Death Rattle card that will defend early on in no doubt the control deck, since that's probably what's going to try to achieve the quest. And N'Zoth is the big one that is not rotating out yet. By the way, the quest says summon 7 Death Rattle minions, which means if you play N'Zoth, you will summon a good amount of Death Rattle minions. Now, as good as Omara is, you do have to look at the meta very carefully to see whether or not this is going to be viable. Having the card be in your opening hand is a severe downside. It is a 1 mana card which gives you benefits way later in the game. If Awaken the Makers was in the Pirate meta, for example, it would never be played because you could not manage to complete the quest in time, generally before you died. Anyways, don't be the guy who gets caught out by playing their quest into Cabal Lackey plus Secret, because if that Secret is counterspell, then bam, your quest has gotten countered, which is going to be very despairing and actually kind of funny. So every class is getting a legendary quest. Isn't that going to be a few too many legendaries, some people ask? Well, every class is also getting their own class legendary, and that is a lot of legendaries, 16 class legendaries. That's going to mean there are a lot fewer neutral legendaries. In fact, only 5 neutral legendaries this expansion. Some people originally were fearful that there would be so many legendaries, you couldn't possibly afford them all. Well, it turns out that this lets you pick and choose what classes you like the most, and you get to focus on that, so in effect, might actually cost less. That's it for now for the Un'Goro preview. Get hyped over the Primal Elementals, the epic quests, and the huge impact that this set will bring, hopefully with the power of its own cards, but also because oldest sets are going to get rotated out. Again, it's Blackrock Mountain, the Grand Tournament, and the League of Explorers. So big changes coming early April.